All right.
Happy Thursday, or whatever day it is when you happen to be listening to this. Welcome to the Don't Stifle Me podcast. My name is Jacob Stiefel, and I'm recording this on a beautiful Thursday, July 26th, 2018, sitting in my office studio here in Nashville, Tennessee. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but this podcast is listener funded. Now, what that means is instead of me reading a bunch of commercials or ad spots right now, for the time being, I'm leaving it up to you beautiful people out there listening. If you enjoy what I've got going on here, the podcast, the conversations, the overall, vibe of the thing, then if you'd like to be a part of it, you can go check out patreon.com/DSM podcast to keep things moving forward. Over there, you can pledge a small amount of money, like $1, $2, $3, $4 a month. And for that, you get access to behind-the-scenes pictures and video that I post up from time to time. I'll also post up some links to MP3 clips of some of the songs that I jam with the guests here. And anyway, there's some other packages and things over there, too, you can check out. But all the money that comes in from that immediately goes toward uploading and online hosting fees, buying external hard drives to save these conversations onto, any other new equipment that's needed, and all that jazz. Once again, if you would like to contribute to that, it is patreon.com/DSM podcast, and there's also some links up at don'tstifleme.com. All right, my guest today is Tyler Powers. Tyler tours with and plays guitar for country artist Keith Anderson. And when he's not touring, he also plays with a phenomenal singer named Jen Friend here in Nashville, who you should all go listen to if you ever get the opportunity. I mean, I can't stress that strongly enough. Just magnificent. Anyway, so I've known Tyler for years, and he's played shows with me on guitar. He's even recorded some guitar parts for some of my songs on some of my CDs. Some of my favorites that he's done were Love Me Like You're Drunk. He killed the solo on that. We Bleed Crimson, did some great guitar licks on that, and several other ones off some of the CDs. He's one of my oldest friends here in Nashville, and so we sat and talked and caught up for quite a while. I enjoyed every second of it, so here it is, my talk with Tyler Powers.
Pick it up again.
It ain't dying I'm talking about, it's living.
Is your phone on vibrate?
It's on off.
Look at that.
Yep.
You're more professional than me.
I wouldn't say that. You'll find this out in the next hour.
Nah. But there is something special about when you play regularly with the same group of people, whether you're a band or you're just a backing band or whatever it is. When you play with the same 2-3 people, you learn each other. You learn each other's moves and when Tyler steps to the left like this, he's about to do this riff or whatever, that. It's just, man, when it gets in the groove and you get in, it's just so good.
With Keith Anderson's band, it's very much like that now. Especially,
that's who you're with playing right now,
yes,
right?
I've been with him for 6 years. And Chuck Fields is on drums. Right now we're kind of in between bass players, but we've been using Chris Griffiths lately.
I remember that name.
He's a Detroit guy.
Okay.
He's like a miniature Jay Cott.
That is quite the compliment.
Yes, and Jay was our last full-time bass player.
Yeah, okay.
And but especially with
high demand, that Jay Cott.
Yes, he is, man. He's out with Brent Cobb right now, knocking it out.
They're killing it.
And he has OJ on bass or on drums right now.
Yeah.
They both played with me on Wednesdays with Jennifer Friend at Crossroads, and that was my band for a long time.
I get goosebumps just thinking.
Jay Cott, Jen Friend, Jay Took actually played with us this past Wednesday.
Okay.
And speaking of players, that everything that they do. I know Jay Took's playing like the back of my hand.
I remember when I played, when I was still playing downtown, we did Wednesdays after y'all.
Yep.
And I would get there early just so I could watch because, you're all great. But Jen
is on another level.
Another level. Just ridiculous. Just you hear her singing, you're like, where's that heavenly voice coming?
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's yes.
Anybody that comes to Nashville and they want to see a great singer, that's the easiest, freest show you can go to see like
she's so
Nashville
modest too.
Yes, she
like
is.
it's like she can't comprehend how good she is.
No, and she's the most humble
Yeah,
girl
absolutely.
ever.
Yeah.
It reminds
Jen,
me
if you're
that,
listening to this, you are fantastic.
yes. It reminds me, oh yeah, I need to be on my shit when I play with her and like make sure that she sounds as good as, you know, and I mean, she is, I've been playing that gig now for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And she still gives me goosebumps on some songs. Like, you know, we'll be on the gig and we'll play for 2 hours and, you know, maybe we'll have a good crowd and like everything feels great. Then all of a sudden we'll do one song and it makes me step back. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah. Like when she gets those like At Last.
Oh yeah.
I think I heard her sing, she do I Want a Sunday Kind of Love? Doesn't she do? I heard her do it like once or twice.
Never with us. I don't
know.
I don't think.
Oh, yeah, it's just so good. Yeah, everyone. She's always good, but every once in a while, like you said, she hits that one song, and you're like, oh,
Yeah, like oh shit, man.
yeah. when I was playing down there after y'all, it was you, Jay Cott, Jay Took, was there
Probably Billy Justino,
Sometimes it was
or-
either Billy or Wakefield. Yeah,
Or
That was-
Brad Nair. He
Yeah,
also
yeah.
plays keys with us.
First time I heard Adam Wakefield sing, I think was at one of those Wednesday gigs. He was sitting in and played like some R&B, like maybe like a Justin Timberlake song or Usher or something
yeah.
like that. I was like, holy shit, I want to take my underwear off. Like I know you girls, I know y'all, I know the panties are dropping. Somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, if Steve Winwood and I always say if Steve Winwood and Chris Stapleton had a baby together, it's Adam Wakefield.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
'Cause he sings just like both of them.
Yeah.
And never misses a note, man. He's always on. And he's trained. He's a very, very, very well trained musician.
Yeah. The buddy I talked with out in Austin, which people listening, if it hasn't come out yet, I hope to get it out. My buddy Johnny Gray, he was also on The Voice. Wasn't that what Adam was on?
I have a confession to make that even
Yeah.
though Adam is one of my best friends in the world,
Yeah.
I never saw one episode.
Oh, me either. I've had like 3 or 4 friends that have
Yeah.
been on it, and I've never watched an episode.
I've even been on the show 3 times, like playing with the artists. Like,
Really?
you know,
like
they
a clip
come
of
out.
the
They come
whatever?
out to the show and
Yeah.
they tape us, and
Yeah.
I still haven't seen those.
Yeah. Well,
Somebody's like, "Oh, I saw you on The Voice the other night." I was like, "Really?"
But Johnny and the guy, my buddy in Austin, was on one of the earlier seasons, and I've played a couple of acoustic shows with him in Texas when I'm out there, and he's one of those guys like Adam, like always on pitch. I call him on pitch Johnny. He's just like,
Oh yeah, he never misses a beat,
like,
man.
do you ever miss one that you're like trying to hit a note and miss it? Does that ever happen? I don't know.
Yeah. Jen Friend's the same way.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. She came in the song that I recorded, that We Bleed Crimson.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was for Alabama.
yeah, I played guitar.
Yeah,
on that.
you did.
Yeah, I was
Actually,
like, wait
yeah.
a second, that sounds
Yeah.
familiar.
Forgot about that. Yeah. But she came in and did background vocals on that, and just I had like she might have heard the song once or twice before, but other than that, I had no idea what parts or whatever. She's like, "Well, I could do this. I kind of had this in mind," and then it just nailed it. Like two or three parts, I think. Put them, layered them. Oh, so good.
And that's another thing with Wednesdays is that, you know, we'll, especially if Wakefield is playing with us, we'll do songs that none of us know, and you'll see us for 2 minutes and he'll go, all right, the chorus is a flat 7-4-1, and then at the end of it goes to a 5, be ready for that. The bridge goes to a 2-3-4.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, cool. And then we'll jam through it. First chorus, Wakefield or whoever will sing the chorus.
Yeah.
Second chorus, Jen is on it.
Yeah.
Words and all. I'm like, how do you do that? I'm still figuring out the chords that he explained before we started.
Yeah. It's a special thing.
It is, man.
So people listening, Jen Friend, Adam, does he go by Adam Wakefield? Adam Scott Wakefield?
I think Adam Wakefield.
I think so,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
so. And he just signed with Average Joe's.
Saw that. Yeah, because I played Jack Roosh played with me the other night at Exit In, and he was talking about they did some kind of showcase for Average Joe's because
Yeah.
he's been playing with Adam.
That's a good fit. Jack's
yeah.
a beast. Has he been on the show?
He's coming up. I talked to him the other day
Good,
about doing
good.
it. Yeah.
I've been playing on and off with him, man, since 2004, 2005.
No, nothing against you at all. But I told him the other day, I said, I feel like you're the next Jack Pearson. I feel
absolutely, man.
He's just so quiet and so like reserved, but just sit there and just play play better than anybody. And just It's just all he does. Like if you go to his house, he's just sitting there jamming.
Dude, even when we were going to school together, we went to GIT in Los Angeles.
Right.
And he graduated. Maybe he graduated the right before me, or maybe he graduated like the semester after my first semester.
Yeah, somewhere around the same.
But he's always been a beast, man. I remember the first time I saw him, I was like, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
Yeah,
and we were both like tall, skinny, long hair.
Yeah,
and I was like, okay, he's out of this world, and and now he's a more focused player.
Yeah,
where before he was just a straight up, played his 335.
Wilder days.
Oh yeah, we got some wild stories from back then. And people here in Nashville don't realize how wild he was because he's so mild mannered now, and he's a father now.
He's
married.
sober. He's been sober for 5, 6, 7 years, something like that.
And man, we were definitely not sober back then.
Yeah, I've heard some stories with him. I asked him one time, a few years back when we were on the road a lot. I asked him because I wanted to start drinking. I was starting to drink tequila, and I never really drank it. So I asked him one day. We were talking about it. I said, "When you drank, Jack, did you drink a lot of tequila?" He said, "Oh yeah." I said, "What'd you drink your tequila with?" And he just looked at me and said, "A glass." Just what are you talking about? What kind
as
of
straight faced as possible?
Yeah, oh yeah.
You should ask him about Irish car bombs. That was our thing. Me and a few of our friends it was Irish car bombs all the time. And of course, when you're in your early 20s, you can do that. I think about that now. I'm like, I'm about to have a heart attack.
I'm a little hungover now just thinking about that.
Oh, yeah.
We've just been rambling about different musicians and people that people should listen to.
But all notable people, man. They're the guys that will shape this town in the next 10, even now they're shaping this town. But Jack, especially in the guitar world, he's going to be I could say a household name, but he's going to be a big name in this town. Yeah,
if you're a guitar player out there and you're listening, you should go to Instagram and you should look up @JackRoosh Guitar and watch all of the videos of him. He'll do a loop pedal, and then he'll go back and riff over it, and it's really good. But we're not here to talk about Jack Roosh. As good as he is, we're here to talk about you, Tyler Powers.
Well, thank you.
Yes. What's your middle name, Tyler Powers?
My real name?
Middle name,
Colin.
Colin. That's a good strong
Tyler
name.
Colin Powers.
Almost sounds like Colin Powell.
It's funny you say that because my parents went back and forth between the name Tyler and Austin. Yeah. And I'm so glad they didn't go by Austin. I would have gone by my middle name after that movie came out.
Had to, yeah.
But then it would have been
Austin Powers.
But then it would have been Colin Powers, and now it sounds like Colin Powell.
Yeah.
But
you
both
missed it.
Both are good.
Yeah.
but I'm glad we went with Tyler.
Tyler's good. Tyler Powers. That's a good strong American name.
And I have people ask me all the time if that's my real name or if that's a stage name. And I'm like, it's a real name. And when I was younger, I didn't know if I liked it or not. I didn't know any other Tylers when I was a kid.
Yeah. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Oh, just down the road?
Yep. About 30 miles south of Nashville. Originally from California, but I moved to Murfreesboro, Rockville, if anybody really knows where that's at. Yeah. Moved there when I was 5 or 6.
Okay. What part of California?
Born in Sacramento, then we lived in the Riverside area, South Central California, in the middle of the desert.
Cool.
And then we moved here when I was 5, out to Rockville, and went to school out there. Then my family moved to Mechanicsville, Virginia, when I was about 10. And we went. Let's see. My friends there had a band, or they all played instruments. Like one friend was a drummer, one friend was a guitar player, and I'd always kind of messed around with a guitar. Yeah. That was in my parents' attic growing up, and it was my grandmother's guitar. It's an old Biltmore Herald acoustic archtop. Yeah. And I'd always just kind of mess around with it. And then when we were in Mechanicsville, my friends were like, "Hey, we need a guitar player. You should get a guitar." I was like, "Okay."
How old were you at that point?
Maybe 11, 12.
Oh, yeah.
Somewhere in that ballpark. And they all still play. Ironically, the other guitar player in that band, keep in mind this was just outside of Richmond, Virginia. Yeah. He now lives down the street from the house that I grew up in Murfreesboro. Huh. So he moved to Murfreesboro, and kept in contact. We see each
Yeah.
other from time to time, but it's just goes to show how small of a world it is.
For sure. So you started playing when you were like 11, 12, something like that?
Yeah, and I just kept doing it, and my family moved back to Murfreesboro.
Did you do lessons, or did you?
Yeah,
figure
I
it
took a
out?
few lessons. I was really big into like Randy Rhoads and
Oh yeah.
a lot of that rock stuff. I was really big into Nirvana, Green Day, and then all of a sudden somebody showed me somebody let me borrow a tape of
Tape.
the
What is this that you speak of?
it's
Tape.
I don't know how to describe it, but he gave me a tape of the Ozzy Osbourne Randy Rhoads tribute.
Okay.
And I remember listening to it and hearing that, guitar solo in, I remember what song it was now. Not Flying High Again, but there was a big, 5-minute guitar solo where it was just Randy.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, man, this guy's a freak of nature.
What's that sound?
And
How do I do that?
started getting into like the shred stuff and all
Yeah.
that. And then when my dad took a job back in Murfreesboro, so we came back to Murfreesboro, and we came back a week before my freshman year of high school started.
Oh yeah.
So I wanted to try to join the jazz band, and it was a brand new school. It was Blackman High School, and we went in, and they're like, "Well, we're not sure if we're gonna have a jazz band, but we might have something even better for you." And their halftime show, they weren't going to do a traditional marching band. They weren't going to do a drum pit. Instead, they wanted to have a rock band as a drum pit. And our first show was we did like Kool and the Gang and Blues Brothers and we
That's
did
cool.
stuff like
Yeah.
Bruce Springsteen, all that kind of stuff.
Would there also be a band in like marching or anything, or is it
No,
just y'all?
it was us right next to the drum major.
Yeah.
And she'd count it off, and we'd go, and we'd start.
Was there horns and stuff?
Oh yeah,
too?
the whole band would be playing the horn lines to
Oh, yeah.
Soul Man and stuff like that.
That's great.
So that was my start, and looking back at that now, I was like, oh my god, I was awful.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But then they had a jazz band, so I learned how to read music and like understand chord changes and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And then Carl Wingruber, who was helping out with the band back then, he's a saxophone player in Murfreesboro, a bad-ass saxophone player. And he plays guitar. If you can blow wind through it, or if it makes, if you can make music with it, he's mastered it. He's just one of those guys. So I kind of studied under him for 4 years.
Nice.
And I got long story short, I got a scholarship to Musicians Institute in Hollywood, California.
Yeah.
And by that time, I'd already kind of been playing the bars a little bit. I played in a band with Carl Wingruber called the Undertones.
The Undertones.
And it
Sounds
was
like a 1961
Yes.
band name.
Oh yeah, and it was 3-piece horn section.
Oh, yeah.
3 female singers, drums, keys, bass. It was a 9-piece band. We played at the Bungin' Up Pig. We played at bars all over Nashville, and none of them are here anymore. But I did all that, and I got a scholarship to MI. I was gonna.
So you were playing like around Nashville and Murfreesboro.
Yeah, when I was
in high
15,
school.
16,
That's
17 years old.
fucking great. Yeah.
And I wanted to go to school. I wanted to go to MI in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Well, no wonder you wanted to be in music if you were.
Oh, I was surrounded by it. And my
Okay,
mom
yeah.
plays piano.
Yeah.
And so.
What about your dad? Does he play?
No, he doesn't play anything, but his real father was a steel player.
Oh, nice.
And every generation there's one musician. Everybody else is like in some kind of law enforcement or something, or military.
That's where the guns come in.
Oh yes, yes, oh yeah. But I was going to join the military if I couldn't get a scholarship. And 3 days before the deadline of that scholarship, I got a phone call that I got a scholarship to MI. So I went out there. I met Jack Rouge a few weeks after that.
Yeah.
And did the LA scene. Played in a band called the Whiskey Dicks. Played in a band called the Dead Rebels, and did great in Hollywood. And
At what point along these lines, at what point did you say, I want this to be my life? Like, I want this to be my future?
I remember one day when I was... Actually, I want to say I was in middle school even. When after I'd... my parents had bought me an electric guitar. And I remember going to my friend's house, and they were jamming. And I think we did that for like 2 or 3 days. And I remember one night, I'm trying to go to bed, and I couldn't fall asleep. All I could think about was playing guitar.
Yeah.
And I remember going to my parents' bedroom, and my mom's sitting there reading a book, and I was like, I can't stop thinking about guitar. I can't fall asleep. And I kept thinking, like, how there's no way I could ever become a musician. There's no way.
Yeah.
And when we moved back to Murfreesboro, and Nashville's right there, you know, it's almost stuffed down my throat at that point.
Yeah.
So there
Like, you'd
was
be a
no
fool
escaping
not
it.
to try, yeah.
And I tell people all the time that I'm the luckiest son of a bitch on the planet because I'm a musician. I grew up in Nashville. My parents support me.
That's so huge.
It was huge, yeah. And they did so much for me in my musical career.
Yeah.
I mean, just always pushed me.
I don't know how people do it without like parents that love and support you and
I can't imagine how hard that is. A lot of my friends at MI were like, "Yeah, my dad doesn't approve of me being here. He's a lawyer and he wants me to go into the family business."
Yeah,
and
people like disown their kids if they or whatever, you know, maybe ashamed of it or something. Like, it'd be so hard. I mean, I know people do it every day, but I mean, like,
that's a tough thing. But I just stick through it, man. It's tough, and I mean,
I was the same way. My parents have been nothing but supportive. Like, oh, you've got a civil engineering degree, but you want to move to Nashville and play in bars and get drunk every night? Okay.
Yeah.
We love you. Work hard. Don't do anything stupid.
Yeah. Well, we didn't tell them all the stupid things we've done.
Don't do anything stupid and then drive somewhere.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which I
knock on wood.
Yeah. Which admittedly I did sometimes.
Yeah, I've done
no
that
longer.
Yeah.
I have outgrown that dumbass phase.
I actually quit smoking cigarettes July 4th of last year, and ever since, I haven't really had the stomach to drink.
Yeah.
Like, it made me not really care to drink anymore.
I don't, like maybe a couple times maybe once a year, get too drunk. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, like, I just give me a glass of whiskey on the rocks. I'm going to sip it over time, have maybe 3. Yeah, and then sleep great.
Oh yeah, I've turned into a wino. I love wine now.
Yeah, it's just not. I still see people like our age. What are you, like 30?
I'm 32.
32? Okay, so I'll be 31 next month, but I still see people like our age and older that are still partying like crazy, like still out all night and like we were at 22, 23 and whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe it's part of getting older or whatever, but it just doesn't look fun.
Oh yeah.
I like it looks exhausting.
Yeah, I also turned into a little bit more of a pothead after I quit smoking too.
Yeah, I've become a fan of the edibles.
Oh, I love edibles. Those are my favorite.
Well, I ate my last cookie a little while ago.
Oh, good for you.
I would have given it one.
No, because I'd be sitting here like, no, man, no, I'm good.
It's crazy how. Well, first off, how it affects different people differently. Yeah. But also how the different like indicas and sativas and some of them just make you want to lay down and not move.
I'm a big indica fan.
Really? Mm-hmm. See, I like the sativa. I like to have some and then do things.
Yeah.
Whereas, I don't like it when you eat something or whatever and then you realize it's 4 hours later and you haven't moved off the couch.
Yeah. Well, I need one of those days every once in a while. I think after I leave here, I'm going to have one of those days.
Well, it's also depends on when you do it. Like Chance, he enjoys at the end of the day, or like some people, enjoy at the end of the day, but just depends. It's different for different folks.
It really is. I mean, I'm a big fisherman. I love fishing.
I want to go fishing, Tyler.
Dude,
I've got a rod and a tackle box and everything, and I haven't touched it or used it in probably 5 years.
What are you doing after this?
I got a bunch of shit to do today. I'm playing an acoustic gig downtown at 6 o'clock.
Nice.
And some shit before that. But yes.
Anytime.
Fishing and shooting, I want to do. Oh, yeah. I love them both. I rarely do either of them. So.
Oh, my girlfriend, I actually met her while I was fishing.
Nice.
And
that's a good story.
Oh yeah, she was kayaking and I was fishing off of a bridge out in Mount Juliet.
Get out of my way.
Yeah, exactly.
P.S. What's your name? Pretty hot.
And I caught her.
Oh.
Ta-da.
Yeah.
But she's a big angler as well.
Yeah.
And we go out and do that. Last summer, I mean, I can't tell you how many days we spent on the day per week.
Yeah,
just out on the water, fishing, catch our dinner every night.
Yeah. Do you have a boat?
I have a bass boat, and it's under the weather right now. I need to rewire it and patch a few things on it.
That sounds exhausting.
But we're big kayakers, though.
Yeah,
everything is
I
on a
wanna
kayak.
get a kayak. Yeah, okay.
I have one for sale.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
We'll talk.
I'll
trade.
Yes.
I've got a leather desk chair and a stage monitor. I've got a handful of things I'm about to put on Craigslist.
Oh, you and me both.
Because I'm in the middle of moving, people
Yes,
that are listening. You are the first in the new studio office space here.
Beautiful house. Beautiful
nice.
house.
Yes, there's going to be a couch here. There's going to be a TV here. And yeah. But right now, we're got a temporary setup.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's all working. I hope that it's recording, and I hope people can hear. Or I might burn my computer if it doesn't work. But it'll work. I have because I did. So I was saying this earlier. I recorded one in Austin, and 5 minutes into the conversation, the audio cuts out. So people, if you're listening and you understand GarageBand and know why that might have happened, let me know. It's not automation, and you can still see the sound waves, but for some reason it cut out. But I recorded another one like the week after that with my grandma, and everything works fine on it. You can hear the whole thing. I don't know. But that one should be out by the time this one comes out. And it was on her 90th birthday.
Oh,
we sat
nice.
down and talked,
Hell yeah.
and she told me it was great. It was great. You should go back and listen to it. Yeah, so I don't know where we were. Fishing.
Yes,
yeah, we're talking about
fishing.
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 When
So-
did you grow up fishing and shooting?
Kind
and
of,
stuff?
yeah. I grew up. My dad has always had a gun, and we never really went shooting until like maybe my early teens.
Yeah.
And we had a close family friend that had a farm, and other friend that had his FFL. He owned a gun shop in Nashville for years.
Oh, yeah, nice.
And we would go out there and shoot, and man, I loved it. And just started doing it more and more. My little brother would go out shooting with us. He's a cop in Sevierville, Tennessee now.
Cool.
But yeah, my whole family is nothing but law enforcement. My dad was private security.
Oh.
So
Like,
yeah.
who did he work? Private security. Who did he work?
Oh,
for?
he worked for a company called Rock Solid and he did bodyguarding for a bunch of random folks.
Just anybody that wanted to hire. Security?
Exactly, yeah. And he, I remember one, like during CRS, he had to follow around Leanne Womack, and
Yeah.
and was private security for like her house party after an award show sometime. And he goes, I remember showing up to the house, and he said that like Jamie Johnson was there, and then you have George Strait there, and all these people. And my dad said he went out into the back patio, and he's kind of steps out there, and he said that he caught some kid climbing up the back patio, like it had like a stuff on it that you can grow vines up, and the kid was climbing up.
Really?
My dad said he caught the kid, and apparently it was Leanne's daughter, who's an artist now. And
She like sneaking out and trying to sneak back
well,
in?
I think he was trying to sneak in because he goes, there was no way you're going to let me into the front door. I'm just some shit ass kid.
Yeah.
But her, actually, what's funny is her daughter is a musician. I can't remember her name, so forgive me if you listen to this.
Yeah.
But Jack Roosh actually did some gigs with her. I got called to do that gig,
nice.
and I didn't put two and two together.
He told me about that. I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
But
and but it's kind of funny how once again, small world Nashville. But
Yeah.
my dad almost threw your boyfriend, or maybe possible ex-boyfriend, almost threw him off the balcony.
Oh, okay. I wonder how often things like went down that he had to when he was doing work like that.
Oh, I got a lot of stories
Really?
about that. Yeah,
'cause
some
he
won't tell me, but
Yeah, because I would think most of it would be little shit like that, like kids trying to sneak into something or whatever. But I don't know. Maybe they get weird stalker guys that I don't know.
Oh yeah. He said one day he was doing security at a bar in Midtown. I won't say what bar it was,
Yeah.
but he caught some guy trying to sneak in with a fake ID, and he caught him, and I can't remember exactly what happened. I think he said he just took the fake ID and put it in his shirt
Kept
pocket,
it,
which
yeah.
I don't think you're supposed to do anyway. But at the end of the night, the bar is closing down, and the dude came walking out of the bar like he got in somehow, and like came up to my dad and tried to get the fake ID back.
Was it like
And
a young kid?
Yeah, I was some young kid. And my dad, who's my height, he's 6'4", but my dad's got 100 pounds on me. Especially back then, he was a big
Like
boy.
muscle?
Yeah. And he grabbed him, slammed him up against the wall, like kind of held him up, kind of thing. And the bar manager saw him. He's like, "Mr. Powers, what's the deal with this?" And my dad, looks at the kid and goes, "Tell him." So the kid goes, yeah, I have a fake ID. And so and so. The cops came. I think they arrested the kid maybe. And
Yeah.
And now some of the the bartenders who I see from time to time, maybe once a year now, they go, hey, how's your dad doing? He's the most badass old man that we've ever had at security.
Yeah. So this was like sometime in the last 10 years.
Yeah. But he's since retired from that. And
Yeah.
he's getting older, and I'm
That's
getting
what we all
older.
do, yeah.
I'm getting older and lazier, and I'm turning more and more into my dad.
Yeah.
I
Start
can't.
getting muscled up.
Yeah, well, you see how muscled up I am right now.
You've always been lanky as long as I've known you.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 6'4" and a good 170 pounds.
Did you do any sports or anything growing up?
I played hockey for 13 years.
Hockey?
Yes.
Where was that, like in Virginia?
Virginia
13
and
years?
Yep.
Damn.
Virginia and Murfreesboro. Blackman High School had a hockey team, believe it or not.
Who did you play?
I played center and left wing.
I mean, who did Blackman High School? Were there other hockey teams?
Yeah, there were other
around?
hockey teams.
Damn, they didn't go down to Alabama. There was none in Alabama.
No. Are there even,
Is there ice in
yeah,
Alabama?
there's no ice in Alabama. There's no hockey rinks down there as far as I know.
I want to say, actually, when I was in college in Alabama, I had a couple of friends that played. It was called the Alabama hockey team, but it wasn't University of Alabama. It was the University of Alabama, but it wasn't like a sanctioned
See, that's how
school team.
That's
So
how
they
our
just
team
called
was.
it Alabama hockey team. Right?
Yeah,
but they had to go like from Tuscaloosa to Birmingham for practice and for games and stuff like that.
Yep, that was like us. I think even though we were the Blackman Blaze, we still had kids from Oakland High School and Siegel
yeah.
High School and stuff like that.
That's cool. I don't know very much at all about hockey. I know when
love it,
the
man.
Predators, the Nashville Predators, when they went to the Cup sometime in the last was it last year or year before?
No, it wasn't this last season, but the season before.
Right. Like I kind of paid attention and learned the rules, but then when this season came back around, I was like, I forgot everything that I learned last year.
Man, I've never had so much hometown pride as when they went to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, that was cool.
I was so
Everybody
proud
was
of
a
them.
hockey fan. Everybody was watching.
And the fact that hockey, I haven't been on skates since.
Yeah.
But I have dreams about it all the time.
Really?
Oh yeah, and I miss it so much. But I'm
Yeah.
so tall and lanky and fragile now that I know I'd get on skates. I'd get hit once and I'd have an arm
Were you
facing the wrong
thicker
way.
in school?
Not so much, but
Yeah.
I was lighter and faster than everybody else
yeah.
because I have a 36-inch inseam. So when at the time I
So
weighed less.
long.
I weighed less than I do now.
Yeah.
So I had more breakaways than anybody in.
I feel like you would have made a good, for Halloween costume, you could have been Woody from Toy Story. It would have been like perfect.
I've considered it. Taylor, my girlfriend,
Took that hat.
wants to. She has one of the squirrel like Halloween costumes.
Yeah.
And I said, well, if you're gonna wear that, I'm gonna be Mr. Peanut.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be awesome. Yeah, with the cane and the hat and the, what is it, like eyeglass?
Yeah,
or
the
something?
little
What do you call this?
I can't think of.
I don't know, single lens.
Yes,
that
yeah.
It was on a chain or something.
I would have a
What
hard
the hell
time.
were those for?
I think it's just reading. Like me, I personally have one bad
Oh,
eye.
yeah. So I guess, yeah, if you just needed to read something real quick, you can just hold it
Yep,
up there.
yep. Although Chris Griffiths and I, who's been playing bass with
Yeah.
Keith, and he also plays for Will Hogue.
Okay,
But
cool.
he's a shorter guy, and we both agreed if we're playing together close to Halloween, he wants to dress up as Mario and I'll be Luigi.
Oh, that'd be.
I was like,
be great.
that'd be awesome.
That's a classic. That's always a classic costume. I feel like
yeah.
Mario and Luigi, you could do that. And
Yeah.
it's always a good reference because I guess just because there's so many years there were Mario based type things.
Yeah, I mean, it's a household
Yeah.
game. Like, there's nobody in the world right now that doesn't know who Mario and Luigi is.
Have you ever stopped and thought about that? The background behind the story of these two plumbers
I've
that
heard a little
eat
bit about it.
mushrooms and try to save a princess from a dragon.
I saw the movie back in the 90s when it came out.
Yeah, real
Yeah.
life actors.
Yes.
I remember one of those monster guys had on the harmonica thing.
Yeah.
And they built it and they let him keep it because he was a musician before, and then they turned him into like one of the turtles or something, whatever the
Yeah.
thing is. But I don't know. I want to go back and I feel like there's some underlying like drug
There
references
has
and all
to
kinds
be.
of stuff because they're like eating mushrooms and growing.
Yes.
I don't know, like, I don't
I'd be very intrigued to find that story.
But I played the shit out of their video games.
Oh hell yeah!
The original Nintendo. I've got one in a box here somewhere.
I think that's the only game I can remember my dad like actually playing. I remember as a little kid like watching my dad play it because I'm like, Dad, give me the controller back. I want to play.
Yeah, I remember when. Yeah, we got one early '90s sometime, and Dad said to this day he realized how addictive they were.
Oh, yeah.
Because he would play Tetris for hours, or like there was a baseball game I think that he liked.
Yep.
Maybe one other one, but like after that,
Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh, was it?
I think that was one game that I played.
Yeah, I remember that one. I think he bought us the Nintendo, and then the Sega Genesis. Mm-hmm. And then after that, maybe he got and then he bought had the PlayStation 1. And,
yes.
But then at that point, he had done that 3 times, and they, of course, a new one comes out.
Oh, yeah.
Every other year or something.
Yep.
And he was like, "All right, I'm done. You're playing guitar now. We're gonna get you guitars and or music stuff. If you want video games, you can buy them for yourself."
Yeah, I go in and out of playing them. Like it's very rare that I do.
I've got an Xbox 360 over here that hasn't been plugged in or anything in at least 2 years.
I didn't even notice it is sitting right next to me.
Yeah, but I don't even know if it works. I want to say I tried plugging it in a year or two ago, and it was like the red ring of death or whatever pops up. So it may be fucked. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll go a year without even touching it, and then all of a sudden I'll be like, "Oh yeah, this is fun."
I can't. It's kind of like I said. My dad realized early on at some point when I got that 360. It was about 5 years. I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, and it's when I was still playing downtown all the time and wasn't really trying to do anything else.
Yeah.
And so I'd go home and just play Battlefield or whatever for like 4 hours. And I realized one day when I started trying to book shows on the road and trying to, recording the first CD and I'm trying to actually start working toward things, I realized I don't need to be spending 5 hours playing a video game. I need to be doing shit.
Nothing
against video games. I understand that people have that time.
Oh yeah.
But at that point in my life, I was like, I need to. It's kind of like golf. I would love to play golf all the time, but it takes a lot of time and money. 2 things I don't have a lot of.
Oh, yeah, no kidding.
So I had to put that on the shelf till later. Later on, I'll.
It's funny you say that because my girlfriend's dad actually called me up yesterday and it said, "Hey, do you want to go play a round of golf tomorrow?"
Yeah.
And it was a noon tea time.
Yeah.
I was like, I'd love to, but I have this podcast with my buddy.
Yeah.
And I'd even because I'd even brought it up to him like maybe a few months ago. I was like, I'd love to get back into playing golf because I played a little bit when I was younger. My dad is a golf club tailor, so he'll actually measure you and do all that stuff. So
I guess if you're super tall, you gotta it helps maybe.
And my dad is left-handed, so it was very hard for him to get clubs that fit him. So he decided to learn the science of it and did all that.
Very cool.
So now I'm bugging him like, hey, have any clubs left over that are right-handed?
What's funny is that the guy who, when I was a kid, and Dad would take us to get clubs fitted and cut off and put re-gripped or whatever when we were smaller. The guy who did it was a friend of ours who was 6'4", 6'5", and he did it out of his garage. He was also a teacher or something, but he was probably for the same reason.
Exactly, yeah.
So did you get some?
I did when I was younger. I don't have a set now.
Yeah.
But my dad's actually.
I got some.
All right.
I'll hook you up with some.
We'll talk. Yeah. We'll talk about kayaks and golf clubs.
Yeah, there you go. I was down in Mobile a few weeks ago and was hanging out with some friends, and we drove by an estate sale, and one of my friends was like, "Hey, we should go there. It's Sunday. Maybe the things will be half off." So we pulled up, and sure enough, it was the last day, and everything. It was everything half off. Just please take it, so we don't have to deal with it. And so I was walking through, came through the kitchen, and saw a set of golf clubs. I was like, I'll see what's going on over here. And it was a set of Callaway irons, and it was an Odyssey putter, some TaylorMade drivers and woods. And I looked, and it was marked at $85. So I got it for half off that. I got the whole bag. There was balls in it, and just all kinds of wedges and stuff for $42. Mm-hmm. So I took the irons and kind of picked what I want, and so I'm gonna put the rest of it back in that bag and sell it. So we'll talk.
Well, speaking of which, and this is a totally random plug that I'm about to do.
Bring it on.
Now that you live right here, and I drove past it on the way, there's a pawn shop called Barry's Pawn Shop just down the street. That's on Gallatin, heading towards East Nashville.
Yeah.
And coming from here will be on your right-hand side. But I've bought so many rifles, pistols, shotguns, and for cheap. and
Really?
like great prices, and like they have bows in there.
Yeah, I want to get a bow.
So Taylor
get into it.
she just got a bow 2 weeks ago. It's Benny Carl from the Tip. It's
Benny.
It's his old bow.
Okay.
And
Benny was on the podcast.
I believe
back.
that. Isn't he
That
a
was
character?
an awesome one. That was a good, yeah. Like, he shows up. It was like 11 a.m. Benny shows up, full rock and roll, like leather jacket, denim vest, carrying like a bottle of some kind of liquor, and had a joint, and just shows up. And I was like, well, if you're drinking, I'll pour some whiskey. And we got harmonicas out in the middle of the thing, and it was.
Oh, he's a good hunting buddy of mine. He and I go fishing and hunting hunting in season, of course.
Yeah.
But like we go out fishing all the time, camping, and you look at him, you're like, "There's no way this guy looks like Steven Tyler from like 1973."
Yeah.
And then then you go on the lake, and he's the most hillbilly son of a bitch on the planet.
I love it. Yeah, put me in the pool of when you're looking around saying, "Hey, who else would want to go fishing or hunting or camping?"
Yeah. And
wrap me down.
Taylor and I were just talking about doing like a 3 or 4 day hunting fishing trip in the fall. Like going out to East Tennessee, since my brother's a cop out there, he has tons of connections and friends that have hunting properties, and stuff like that. So we're talking about doing that this fall.
I'm in.
And but yeah, she just bought a bow. I love shooting bow. At my old house in East Nashville, I used to freak out my neighbors over there because I would shoot archery over there every single day. I'd shoot 30, 40, 50 arrows a day.
Yeah,
and
I think I want to start with a recurve.
It's tough,
and
man.
Then move to a compound. But I think I can do it like in a backyard here. Just set up a target on one end and walk the other way.
Yep.
So we'll see. I don't know. It's on the list of.
You want a good workout, man. Yeah, it's a good workout.
Yeah, I would guess pulling back. Like,
your back. Like there's pictures of me like out fishing with Benny, and like there's a picture of my back, and I was like, wow, my back looked great. The front doesn't look very good, but the back looks great.
Just walk around backwards with your.
Yeah, I should
go to the pool and just walk around backwards with your shirt.
And I actually went out with Sean Brown from what are they called now? He's the front man for oh man, he'd kill me for forgetting the name now.
The band?
Yes. Man, well, forgive me. Edibles, marijuana affects the memory. But I went out shooting with him and Aaron Holt the other day.
Yeah.
And the poundage on my compound is still up there from when I was shooting every single day. Man, my elbow and back are screaming at me still today. Really? I think that was Monday or Tuesday that we did that. I'm like, okay, I hurt a lot now.
Do you have, I can't remember do you have a carry permit?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mine lapsed last year. And I got to pay the fee or whatever. So I'm not carrying. I'm not carrying illegally.
But in Tennessee, you can still keep one in the car,
you can have
can't
it in the car. I think that passed.
Yeah, past a year or two ago. Yeah,
because it used to not be. Because I got pulled over one time. I left. It was like right when I got my Glock, and I had just passed the carry test, like where you got to go and take the 8-hour course, and then which I fully support now. But you got to go and you got to take the written test, and then you got to shoot on the target and get so many on the paper. It's just get them on the paper, and we'll let you carry. But I had just passed that. It was like the next day, and I had my Glock in the car, but I had it in the back of the seat or whatever. Anyway, and I left a gig downtown at 2:30 in the morning. I turned, and I think I had a tail light out. So he pulled me over on First Avenue, came and said, I got tail light. I wasn't drunk, hadn't been drinking or anything that night, and he ran my ID. He was like, all right, you're fine, just get that fixed or whatever. It was nice. If you're nice to cops, they're nice to you. How about that? But I pulled off. And then not 10 seconds later, he flipped his lights on again and came and pulled me over again. And turned out his partner, while he was talking to me, his partner had shined the window and saw the Glock in the back of the seat there. And so, of course, when they did that, they asked, I rolled the window down and I said, is everything okay? And he said, step out of the car or whatever, where we can see your hands. And so I stepped out and I went and asked him what the problem was, and he said we saw the pistol grip, and so he handcuffed me, checked my pockets. Of course, I had a pocket knife. He pulled that out. I think I had like a hunting knife stuck in the
I
car.
know the hunting knife you're
Pulled that
talking
out.
about.
Yeah, pulled that out, set it on the hood, like maybe another knife in there. I don't know, but then they pulled out the Glock and asked me about it or whatever, and I said, it wasn't loaded. It was the magazine was under my seat, and the pistol was behind the seat. But I told them I had just passed the test and was very nice, and they were cool.
Yeah.
Once they
figured it out.
right.
Yeah.
Once they whatever. So he was like, just leave it at home until you get your permit. So, and that's a good idea.
Yeah.
But yes, when I took that test, I always thought, and I mean, I'm sure you're the same way. Like I grew up around guns.
Yeah.
All my friends had guns. We shot skeet.
Yeah.
Whatever. It wasn't a big deal. Everybody at least knew how to point a gun. And what to do with it. But man, everybody's not like that. I went and took that test, and there was people that don't even. How do you not even know how to point in a general direction?
Yeah.
But there was people in there that were holding the gun, like straight up like that. Like, what are you doing, man? You not ever shot a water gun before?
Dude, it's amazing. And
so
there's
those people, I don't trust them.
And firearms are having such a. I mean, they're under the microscope right now, and I understand, people that want to ban guns. I understand it.
Yeah.
I get it. But, I mean, heroin's illegal too.
Yeah.
But you and I both could probably make a few phone calls and have heroin here in an hour if we wanted it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And not that we would do that, but.
I've never even seen heroin. Yeah. But yes, you're right.
We
could. It's there.
It's there. And even if you ban it, they're still going to be out there.
Well, marijuana is still illegal in a lot of places. Cocaine's illegal. Heroin's illegal. All these things that everybody uses daily.
Yes.
And it still gets, whatever. It's a touchy subject. And it's tough.
It really is.
I sure as hell don't know any of the answers. There's very few people I believe that do know the answers. But it's just a conversation that should be, being had.
You should at least be familiar because it's out in the world. Yeah. And if you don't want anything to do with it, don't have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to protect me and my own.
Yeah.
And I almost had to do that 2 months ago.
There's more guns in this country than there are people. Mm-hmm. There's no way you're going to get rid of those.
Yeah. Oh.
Now, something should be done about the people who have them that shouldn't have them. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But the way to do that, I don't believe, is saying, all right, we're just going to just do away with all the guns.
Yeah. Me having I didn't draw on anybody, but 2 months ago, I have a very strong feeling that we would have been jumped last month or 2 months ago in our neighborhood, in front of the clubhouse of our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And Taylor and I were walking the dog. Ziggy is our little, 25-pound terrier.
Yeah.
And we're standing there, and I almost left my pistol in the house, but I was like, you know what? It's 9:00 at night, and
rather have it.
I'd rather have it and not need it.
Yeah.
And we're standing in front of the clubhouse. Ziggy's doing his business, and we're just sitting there talking. And out from the bushes pops this dude, and it's 85 degrees out that night. It's hot as hell.
Yeah.
He's got a hoodie pulled tight over his face. Came right up on us and got as far away from me to you, and for you out there in Radio Land, we're about maybe 2-3 feet apart from each other right now. And this guy came up and like walking fast and watched me, watched my face.
Yeah.
And I look over at Taylor. Well, we didn't see him at first, I should say. Ziggy ran over to him to, say hi.
That's what dogs do. Yeah. Hey, man, let me smell you.
Yeah. And he stares at me. I watch him eye me up and down.
Yeah.
And I look over at Taylor. She looked at me. We look back over. We do the double take like 3 times.
What's going on here? Yeah.
And so I get in between him and Taylor, and she pulled Ziggy back, and he comes like he's making a beeline straight for me. So I put my hands in my pockets, and like I don't.
Do you carry?
I carry appendix.
Yeah, appendix. Yeah.
And I had my my thumb underneath here, kind of up my shirt, kind of like I'm holding onto my belt,
right.
like I do because I'm a hillbilly.
Yeah.
And comes up and almost within arm's reach, and he's sitting there watching me, and he breaks off at the last second when he knew that I wasn't stepping down.
Yeah.
And as soon as he passed us, he kind of picked up his pace and ran around the corner, hopped in a 9 Series BMW with 2 other dudes in it, and they spit off. Bark tires took off.
Man.
And
so did you have it
my
where
heart
you
was
could see
doing
it?
this. No, I couldn't see it at all. Yeah. I just gave him a nod, said hi, came right up on me, and then
Man.
made a beeline around the corner.
Yeah,
and
I
then
never had anything.
And then I talked to my buddy who's a musician.
Yeah.
He plays Broadway tours. I see him the next morning. He's out walking his dog. He has a 120-pound German Shepherd that's a year and a
Wow.
half old. This sucker is huge.
That's a human. That's a grown human.
And he said that he and his wife stepped out on the patio the night before. Must have been the same night, or it was the same night.
Yeah.
And he watched somebody come up with a stick and get right up on his car door.
What?
And he said he jumped out of his patio and just snuck up on the dude and beat the shit out of him.
Really?
Yeah.
Good. Absolutely good.
And they were carjacking people that night and like trying to rob people. And it's the neighborhood next door. And here's where the story gets an even crazier twist. A month before that, I was getting ready for a gig. I was playing at the Stage on Broadway downtown.
Yeah.
And Jennifer Friend called and said, "Hey, I just got carjacked." She lives in East Nashville.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. That's
And
crazy.
so we're like, "Don't worry about coming to the gig." Chris Malk is fronting it.
Yeah.
And the whole time I kept thinking about it. I was like, "Wow, that's shady as shit."
Yeah.
So the next morning I called Jen, we're talking, and she goes, "I actually just got off the phone with the cops. They some lady found a bunch of my stuff in an apartment complex out in Hermitage." And I was like, "Wait a second." I was like, "I know that there's some carjackers that live in the neighborhood next to us. Like the neighborhood next to us is kind of a sketchy neighborhood."
Yeah.
So I told Taylor, I was like, "Hey, you can stay here for this, but I'm going to go next door and just drive through the neighborhood." So I was going to look for a car. And as I'm driving through, I see a bunch of trash like out in like a yard.
Yeah.
So I drive by and I look down and I see her songbook out there.
What?
So my neighbors carjacked Jen Friend.
I guess they told the cops and everything.
Well, some lady was walking her dog and saw, all of her stuff out and actually like called the cops or called like the booking number on Jen's card or whatever.
Yeah.
So, "Hey, I found a bunch of your stuff." So I went over there before anybody else could, and I just gathered up all of the valuable stuff. She had a jacket, she had all this other stuff.
So they just emptied her car.
Yeah.
Probably went and sold it to somebody.
Well,
or something.
they I got all of her stuff. I brought it to her because we had a gig the next night.
Yeah.
And gave her stuff back, and then like 3 or 4 days later, they found her car about a mile away from her house in East Nashville. So they just stole the car and did a joyride. And now, I think it's maybe, I can go on and on about that, but the kid, they looked like they were between the ages of 15 and 18 and pulled a gun on her.
Wow.
And carjacked her. So when I see those kids now, they cut through my neighborhood right in front of my place and cut through. And like, there's been times where I'm out there with Taylor walking the dog.
So could they not I guess they probably just don't go to this much effort, but could they not fingerprint the car and find the fingerprints?
Yes, there was a crime, but nobody got hurt. So and plus, I guess
it's not high on the list.
Yeah, it's not high on the list. And now we have armed security in our complex now.
Oh, man, it's crazy. My parents got broken into a long time, like 10 years ago, and they came and fingerprinted and whatever. But I went and talked to one of the county guys, and he said, we've got the serial numbers. They stole a bunch of guns, and they stole really nice collector's edition guns. And some other things. And he said, we've got serial numbers, and if something pops up somewhere, we'll let you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's it's not. They're not going to go CSI on it and go down and track down the people who stole this stuff.
So. That happened to B-Fry. He's the old general manager of Crossroads, where I still play all the time, and Jacob plays, or used to play. And somebody broke into his house, found the combination to a safe, and stole all of his guns, including his great-grandfather's 1894 Winchester rifle.
I had an old Winchester rifle with the gold.
Yep.
And stuff. It still had grease on it where it had been packed. Ugh.
And he still never got all those guns back. He got that rifle back and some other stuff. But
I hadn't seen one. I had a Colt Python 357 Magnum revolver. Badass. The most badass gun you've ever seen in your life. And stole it. And
man, it's a shame.
3 or 4 shotguns and a couple of rifles. It was.
I always worry about that.
I've got a single shot 22 Remington and a Marlin 30-30 lever action. I have in my trunk because I was in college and I had them in my trunk. Otherwise, they'd been stolen too. They took the rest of them from the house.
I have a Marlin 30-30 lever action.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great
that
one.
actually, Adam Fisher has it right now. He's
Oh,
doing
Jesus.
he's
You didn't give any bullets, did you?
actually I did because
Oh,
he's doing a he did a like a, what are they called, not a scabbard, but a the leather wrap that you put on the stock of it that holds
yeah.
shells.
Right, yeah,
because
yeah.
he's an amazing leathersmith.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's done a couple of my
Yeah.
straps over
He's
there.
got you got a couple of his straps.
Yeah.
But he's doing a not a bandolier, but I can't remember what they call them. But I wanted one of those things that holds the shells.
Yeah,
Just because it's an old cowboy gun, they just look so classy when you have. That.
I've got like just a neoprene one or like the whatever, just the elastic one that's on.
I have one on my 270, my hunting rifle.
Yeah. Man,
Well,
guns.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
actually haven't been
so-
shooting much, but I should be.
Yeah, I started to. Last time I went home to mom and dad's, I started to take my Glock and shoot, but I just
It also gets expensive.
didn't. Yeah. Like every once in a while, I'll get out there in the pasture and just line up a few things and make sure I can still hit it from 10 yards away. And I'm like, all right, I'm good.
Yep.
All right, so back to Tyler Powers' life.
Who?
You Yeah. Almost Austin. That's what I'm calling you. Almost Austin Powers. So you graduate from MI, from Music Institute in
Hollywood, California.
Yeah. What do you do then?
I worked at Sam Ash Manning's Music out there for about a year and got a lot of contacts out
What
there.
year did you graduate out there?
2007.
Okay.
Or no, sorry, I graduated 2006. And then after I realized all I was doing out there was playing country and that kind of stuff, I was like, I grew up in Nashville. What the hell am I still doing in Hollywood?
Yeah.
So I packed up and moved back to Nashville. And the week that I moved back, I got a gig at Paradise Park and just did one gig there. I think I made
They're closing that down soon,
I know
aren't
they are. It's a shame, man.
It's a classic shithole.
It is. I played a gig there. I think I made base pay plus $3 minus my tab. And then that week I got a phone call from my buddy Slim, not bass player Slim, but Jason Gamble from Lady Antebellum.
Oh yeah.
He got a phone call to play for this guy named Josh Thompson.
That's right. Yeah.
But he couldn't do that because Lady A had booked a gig, but Lady A I don't even think they were called Lady Antebellum yet.
Yeah.
And so I did this gig with Josh up in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And we just became good buddies, and then I played guitar for him for 4 years. And played with him until he got signed with Sony, did all that stuff, did the Jaeger tour with Josh Thompson and Eric Church.
Yeah.
And then
the label people decided.
they
to make a change.
decided they didn't like us very much. They got
That sucks.
they got a good band in there. And after that
It's shocking how much that happens, though.
Oh, I
Like,
know.
people have their guys that they work with for years, and then once they sign a deal and give the power to other people,
Yep.
it's like, all right, well, those guys were nice to get you here, but
And I understand that now, looking back on it, like
Yeah.
I was just some dumbass kid that was just trying to keep up with Nashville.
yeah,
And now, well, after that, let's go down the line.
Yeah.
After that, I was playing with Wayne Mills that's when I started playing Broadway stuff more often. And actually, that's when I met you.
Yeah.
You were playing Big Shots, and I was doing some Big Shots gigs.
Yeah.
And started doing the Broadway thing. And so I stayed off the road. I was with my girlfriend at the time and wanted to stay in town. And I realized I was starting to go a little crazy.
Yeah.
Staying in town. And then when that started going south, I started hitting the road again with
Once you kind of almost get complacent in the staying in town gigs, you can make money, but then
you're not going anywhere.
Yeah,
It's
you're just doing it.
Downtown's an easy money gig.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get sucked into, but it really doesn't go many places.
Yeah.
And from there, like when my girlfriend and I started, we're on the verge of splitting up, I was like, I'm going to take a road gig.
Yeah.
So Craig Wayne Boyd was an old friend of mine and hit the road with him. And
He was on one of those shows.
yeah,
wasn't
he won The Voice 3 or 4 seasons ago.
That's right.
And so I went on the road with him and started playing. We did a lot of Texas dates and stuff like that. And he did a festival. He did the Crockett'sville gig with Halfway to Hazard. It's a festival in eastern Kentucky that that they put on. It's in a big field, and it's the coolest festival ever. I don't think
Halfway to Hazard.
Halfway to Hazard. Chad Warwick and David Tolliver.
Yeah,
dude, you want some rockin' country, man?
Yeah,
those guys. I cannot say enough good things about that band. They are so badass. Great guys, great music. If you like Black Crowes and country, check them out.
Right on.
So I guess they didn't have their guitar player. They didn't think they were going to have their guitar player for that gig. And a couple other guys didn't have a guitar player. And they're like, and Craig was like, you can use my guitar player. So I wound up playing for half the people at this festival. And it was awesome. And so I started playing with Halfway. Yeah. And Chad Works for his solo thing.
Yeah, I remember you playing for him. Yeah.
And he was, at the time, he was best friends with Keith Anderson.
Oh, nice.
So we all kind of shuffled around because Chad is a badass guitar player. So he was playing lead for Keith.
Okay.
And Keith's other lead guitar player couldn't make some gigs, so that's when they pulled me in, and I've been with Keith ever since.
Yeah.
And but I still play with Halfway from time to time. I think Rod Jansen is playing with them a little more often now. But
you got to keep your hand, your options out there, and keep the different avenues of income, because in our world you can't really. I mean, nothing against Keith, but you can't really depend on one thing.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. Playing with Keith, that turned me on to playing with some other guys that see me, and like I got a lot of sessions out of it. I got a lot of other touring work from it. And Michelle Wright is another one. Jay Took is Canadian, and he was my roommate, and he was playing drums for Keith for a little while with us. And,
right, that's right. I forgot about that.
But he was also playing a little bit with Michelle, and Michelle doesn't have a whole lot of full band dates, so he pulled me in on that gig, and that's kind of a fun gig because it's a lot of like '90s Brent Mason licks. So I'm like, all right, there's some badass guitar work in this, and it's like it's not the kind of gig
that'll broaden your abilities. Yeah,
it really does, and it's a little bit of a tougher gig for me, and also because we only play three dates a year, because I have to go back and relearn everything again. And I'm like, but it definitely like keeps my chops up playing that gig, and then doing the Halfway to Hazard gig, which is just riffy rock and roll.
Yeah, it's super important, like, to keep the connections and keep relationships with people, even if we don't see each other a whole lot, you and I anymore, but to just keep the relationships. It'll help with work things, but it'll also just anything,
I'm really bad at that. And we talked about this a little bit, when I first walked in and we're getting coffee and just catching up, that I don't go out and do those things much anymore. I need to go to Midtown and rub shoulders with old friends again, and like remind them that I'm still alive. And yes, I still play guitar. Yes, I tour. I do sessions.
It's a tough thing because it's the whole networking. Like, it's important to network, but I don't want to go to Losers and drink a bunch of whiskey and smoke cigarettes all night long like I used to.
Yeah. I mean, that's
like, can we network? Like, let's all go to have coffee at 3 p.m, or go to have some Mexican food and whiskey at 7:30. How about that?
Yeah, I need to do that more often. Like, because I've definitely become more relaxed in that department, and I think it's also because I'm happy now. I have a great girl at home.
That's a big
I love I used to be that guy that was always go. All right, I have a night off. Let's go grab a drink somewhere. Yeah. And now I'm like, you know what? Let's smoke a bowl and watch The Ranch on Netflix.
No, Tyler.
And then
I guess maybe if you were high, that show.
It's exactly.
I've tried to watch it. So
it's definitely not my kind of show, but it is kind of like great mindless TV where because we'll watch that and do something else. Like like when I'm it's just so bad though. The writing is just terrible. It is.
I mean, it's cool to see Sam Elliott cuss and make jokes.
When I grow up, I want to be Sam Elliott so bad.
Oh yeah, Sam Elliott's one of the coolest men that ever walked the face of the earth.
Yeah, oh yeah. I like Burt Reynolds and all them, but Sam Elliott is.
Did you ever watch the Louis L'Amour movies? Louis L'Amour, the Western author.
Oh yeah.
Just a shit ton of Western books. But they made a handful of movies based on some of his books. There was a series called The Sackets that I read in junior high. I've got a few of the books over here, but I was one of my favorite book series that I ever got into. It's just Western. It's like old John Wayne movies or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That I
love stuff like that. Yeah, I'm a big. Did you ever watch Justified?
No, somebody was telling me about that the other day.
Dude,
I gotta.
Timothy Olyphant does such a great job at that, and like I can't see him as anything else now.
Yeah.
And
That's
like,
how I'm with Sam Elliott, because it's this movie called The Sackets. They made like a 2 or 3 part movie.
all right, that's where I recognize that from. I know what you're
he
talking
played
about now.
the older of the 3 brothers. There's 3 brothers, last name Sackett, and they were like, taming the West and traveling and living in the Rocky Mountains, and there's all this whatever. And so every time I see him, I either see that character or the guy from The Big Lebowski. But he's always Sam Elliott. He's always the cowboy.
I see him from Roadhouse.
Yeah.
That's how I see Sam Elliott. I think that was the first Sam Elliott movie that I saw.
Yeah. I like he called Patrick Swayze Mijo.
Yeah.
Mijo.
I mean, I'd rather just chill at home now, is essentially
For sure.
how I feel. Or like going out and fishing. Like yesterday, I took the kayak out. I have a nice, almost 12-foot kayak, and I take Ziggy, our, little terrier, out, and he'll stand on the front of the boat. And, when he gets hot, he'll jump in, swim around, then I'll just, I'll troll. I'll throw a line 200 yards behind me and just cruise, and Ziggy will jump in the water and swim next to me, and I'm like, this is what it's about. I love doing stuff like this.
What kind of fishing do you do?
Anything you can eat, and it'll give me a good fight.
Yeah.
I love that. I love bass. I love...
Can you eat bass? I don't know if I've ever...
Taylor loves bass.
Really?
And I like bass
think
because
I've
it's a
ever
white,
eaten bass.
flaky fish. She actually pulled up about a 20-pound striper last year.
Yeah?
And we have steaks of that.
Wow.
And
That's a big fish.
catfish. I love catfish. And
How do you cook? Do you fry it? Or do you...
fry it, and that's usually the best way to do catfish, I think. And you can bake it, but it's not the same.
I think I've only had catfish fried.
Yeah, I prefer it fried for sure.
We used to, the barbershop that I grew up going to in Fort Payne, Alabama. Shout out Beeson's Barbershop. Go to them. They're closed on Tuesday and Thursday, but they're open, and maybe Sunday too. I don't know. Anyway, closed on Sunday, Thursday, or something. I don't know. Anyway, but every year, they were all big fishermen, the guys that owned it and ran it. But once a year, every year, they'd save up their catfish, and they'd have a big fish fry and close the shop. But in the parking lot out front, they'd just have hush puppies and catfish and fries and just like
I love that
all
kind
the
of
things
stuff.
bad for you. And we just eat the shit out of it.
And if anything, we'll catch like a bunch of bluegill. Like that's one of my fun. Like get an ultralight and just cast, because they'll just keep biting. And you cast a line, then I'll bite, and you get a good sized one, and you get about 3 or 4 of those, and you have a good meal.
Yeah.
And some rice and veggies, and
I'm dreaming about fishing over here.
trust me, that's all I think about when I'm playing a gig.
Do you
sometimes
fish on the road? Some? Do you
Oh
take
yeah,
a rod?
oh yeah. I have a travel rod I'll take with me. Actually, Keith's son, who's 4 years old, Jackson,
Okay.
is that kid loves playing drums and he loves fishing.
Does he come on the road?
Yeah,
too?
and actually, a few weeks ago, Keith just won his divorce battle, I should say. It was a 2.5-year divorce. And
terrible.
it was ugly.
It's so unfortunate when there's a kid involved.
Two kids.
Two kids. Oh, man.
And so they come out on the road, and their nanny couldn't come out.
Yeah.
So Keith asked if Taylor wanted to go out on the road, and she
Your
was like,
girlfriend.
"Yeah." And luckily, she was off those days, so it worked out perfect.
Yeah.
She came out on the road. She got to experience bus life. And he goes, "Oh, you can bring Ziggy if you want to, also, because he's so well trained."
Yeah.
And the kids loved him. Like
Yeah.
Ziggy loves bananas and banana chips, and so he's one of those dogs. You can make him dance. You can like point your finger out and go stick him up, and he'll like sit up and put his paws up,
That's
and he
great.
go bang, and he'll like spin around and fall over on his back. And so the kids
Did you train him to do that?
Taylor did the dancing and the like the little gun thing,
Yeah.
and then there's a couple other tricks he'll do. Like I'm trying to get him to smile, where he'll sit up and like he'll actually sit down on his butt and like sit straight up,
That's so funny.
and I'll go smile, and he'll go and like has the biggest ugliest smile, and like but he's really good about doing that kind of stuff
Yeah.
too, and he's great with kids. So that was the cleanest the bus floor has ever been
Wow,
in 6
yeah.
years that I've been on tour. And
It's neat, just a little living vacuum cleaner to.
oh yeah, and we brought fishing rods out, and like we were in Oklahoma, or I don't remember where we were.
Yeah.
But we brought the fishing rods, and we didn't catch anything that day. But when we came back into town, I brought him out to Percy Priest Lake, and we did some fishing, and it was hot that day, so it was kind of tough to do all that. And the heat and humidity has been whooping my ass. I was just in Iraq last month.
Oh.
Iraq and Kuwait.
Yeah, so how is the Keith Anderson gig? That's what,
dude,
you've been with that for 6 years?
6 years now, man. Keith is the greatest guy, man. Does
he do those the USO things pretty often?
He goes through Armed Forces Entertainment.
Okay.
They're out of Colorado. At least the tour manager that we use when we go overseas, he's based out of Colorado. And we went to Army bases and Marine bases in Iraq and Kuwait, and got to see Baghdad, and you take Black Hawks and Chinooks everywhere, and C-130s, and
it's a word. Black Hawk is a word you have to be very careful. When you say.
Black Hawk.
Hawk.
Yeah, especially when we're on radio.
Yeah, I played some Black Hawk songs before. The band Black Hawk.
Very different.
Yeah, very very different from the other. Yeah, but when I say, somebody will be like, "Who sang that song originally?" Black Hawk.
Yeah.
What? Hawk. Anyway, sorry.
We had to specify.
Yeah. So, man, that's crazy to go over there and
man,
see.
what an eye-opening experience too. And
whether you agree with whether or not we should be there or whatever, whether you agree with all that or not, when you go, like the guys that are there, like it doesn't matter.
Here's what I'll say about that. It's like, because before I didn't really know, because I don't pay attention to politics. I don't follow any of it. Yeah. I keep my nose out of it. I mind my own.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how I am. Like, my family's not political at all.
Yeah.
And my dad was Vietnam in the Navy. And I was going to be a part of the Iraqi war in 2004 when I graduated high school. Like I said, if I missed that deadline for the scholarship, I was going to join the Marines or the Army.
Yeah.
And luckily I didn't take that route, but this was my chance to go over there and see what I missed.
Yeah.
So we went over there. We first landed in Kuwait, and none of us we'd never been over there before. We didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And actually, I do have a great road story about our second trip over there that we just got back from last month. But man, I didn't know what to expect. And like when you see what they've really gone through, and like we were able to see some stuff that they don't normally show civilians.
Yeah.
And it makes me, as I like look at my phone, I'm like, turning this around. I should like put it in the other end of the room. Because like, it makes me realize, okay, we are so advanced with drones and all that kind of stuff. We invest a lot of money into it, where, the Taliban and ISIS and Al-Qaeda, they don't have that technology, but they're finding ways to outsmart us.
Yeah.
They don't play by rules. They don't play by
it's not like your
the Geneva
typical
Code.
Warfare that's gone on for hundreds or thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a whole different mindset of these people, of people that, like you said, don't play by rules. I sure don't pretend to know, but I know that much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're not lining up on a battlefield and saying, all right, we're going to fight now.
This is not the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
And I saw a few things, and I'm like, man, that's scary. Like, long story short, this is just one of the stories that we didn't see it in person, but we saw what our guys saw. Yeah. And it was basically drone footage of ISIS taking a family out to the desert and hacking them up. And it was us trying to stop that from happening.
Man.
But we couldn't do anything. I won't go into details, but we couldn't do anything because we play by the rules.
Oh.
And we couldn't go in there because technically we're not allowed to. Whether it's their religion or whatever it is, we couldn't go in there and interfere.
Crossing a line,
and they knew that. They knew that we couldn't.
Probably knew we were watching too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it made me realize this is what we're fighting for. That long story short, that family didn't survive.
Yeah. And
that's why we're there. Like, if we don't help them, those ISIS and Taliban, all of them, they would run that area. They would kill everybody. Anybody that didn't agree with them. Syria is another example.
Didn't fall in line and do as they say.
Yeah, and it would just be straight up mass murder.
Yeah. And
that's what we're over there stopping right now.
And I just don't know. I don't know how does it end? When does it end? Like, does it end?
It never will.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's good. I'm glad that we're fighting for the good and trying to help people that need and want help. But I just don't know.
I just wish people realize that like that's what we're stopping. That's and that goes to show like what we were talking about earlier with carry permits and Americans with our guns. The only reason why Japan didn't come over here in the 40s because everybody was armed.
Yeah,
nobody's going to step foot in America.
Said,
and
I think there was some quote or something that Japan, one of the leaders said that they would have come, but every American with the gun would have come.
Oh yeah, and take that away. I mean, what's you look at Russia and China and North Korea right now. That we're all skating on ice right now. I don't know. We're concerned with ourselves, but we should be concerned about them also. And that's just my 2 cents. And I'm just some dumbass musician.
Yeah, you always got to be, I don't know, concerned and aware and active in dealing with all of them because we're all on this ball together. We're all spinning around, floating through the galaxy on this planet. So, of course, Russia's going to spy on us. We're going to spy on them. We're going to spy on China. China's going to spy on everybody. Like it's
it is what it is.
We're all living. It's like, I'm going to watch across the street, and if my neighbor's doing something crazy, maybe
I'm going to
pay a little bit more attention.
We're going to pull the blinds over and take a look at what's going on out there.
I don't know the answers. I don't pretend to know the answers.
Me neither. I keep my nose out of it. Like I said, I'm not a political person, but I've seen what I've seen, and I believe what we're trying to do is a good thing, and maybe we don't always do the right thing, but we have the best intentions.
Yeah. And especially the people that are over there in it.
Oh,
I believe like
those guys are such badasses.
Vast majority of them have the best of intentions.
Yeah.
Whether or not the people up top making all the decisions do or not.
And we're not always going to understand those decisions.
Right, for sure.
And though once again, I'm getting even deeper into this, and I probably should back out.
That's what the conversation's for.
Exactly. And I have no opinion about Trump.
Yeah.
I have no opinion whatsoever. I'm sure there's situations where he's a great, great president. And there's other things where I'm like, buddy, come on.
Yeah.
But you know what? He got to that position for a reason. He's a businessman. I know we could use some help in that department.
Yeah.
Let's if you don't agree, let's suffer through this together. And if you love Trump, then support him. Go with the cause and do what you think is right.
If you don't, I have no problem with you voicing that you don't or protesting or whatever. But my view on it is like whatever. I didn't vote for him. I didn't vote for Hillary. Whatever. But my view on it is he's the president.
Yeah.
So I hope he does well.
Yeah.
I hope that he does good things. I know he's not going to do all good things. He's crazy. I know that.
Yeah, but no president has clean hands.
Who wants to? The people that want to be in that position and go to the trouble and do the things to be in that position and then get that position, those aren't normal people.
Yeah.
Those aren't, that's a crazy amount of stress.
I can't think like that.
Oh, no.
I have a hard enough time just paying my bills.
But, right. But he's a president, so let's,
Yeah. I support you. I support my country. I have an American flag hat on right now.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm a proud American.
Yeah.
Very proud of what our country does and, what we try to do. And, there's a lot of dumbasses in America too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you can categorize me in one of those.
People are people. There's good and bad people. There's people doing things for horrible reasons. There's people doing things for great reasons, and that's in every position and job and area and whatever. So
well, everybody rolls their eyes at some point.
Yeah, it is what it is.
But
what about? So how was this last trip over there? You said
this last trip was awesome. It was a little bit different. It was definitely hotter. Iraq and Kuwait again.
Okay, yeah.
And man, it was hot.
Hotter.
Like the first time we went was in December. I'm like, we step out and we're like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
It was maybe 85, 90 degrees and like
that was their December temperature.
Yeah, and at night it's a desert, so you got to put on a hoodie and it feels awesome. This time it was getting up to 125, 130, and it's still not the hot. Right now is the hot time over there.
Yeah.
And man, when you're sitting in a Chinook on a tarmac when it's 130 degrees, and you're sitting on the black blacktop,
yeah,
and you're sitting there, and it gets 160 degrees sitting inside that helicopter, and you have 40 40 pounds of Kevlar on, and you're waiting for your, you know.
And there's some guys out there in like full guard.
Oh yeah,
like,
and like,
boots and
how do you guys do that with the long sleeves and jackets
hats
and
and yeah.
man, I would drink 15 bottles of water a day, and barely pee enough the entire day to fill up this this coffee mug.
Yeah.
And I came back home after that, and I had 1 or 2 days of just chill. I would keep drinking water.
Yeah.
But pardon me, I went out on the lake, and it was like 90 degrees. Humidity wasn't bad.
Nice
It was
cool.
great. I was like, this is like springtime.
Yeah.
I came home, and I probably had 2 bottles of water when I was out on the lake. I was only out for maybe 3 hours.
Yeah.
I think I'd drink 3 bottles of water. I came back home. Taylor and I are sitting on the couch watching TV, and I felt my heart start doing this. And I was like, what is happening right now? And like, I kind of felt a little nauseous, went to the bathroom. I was overheating. I was sweating. And all of a sudden, I felt everything in me just like my chest and my stomach. And I thought, like, I kind of felt funny the last few days. And there was even a norovirus in Kuwait while I was there. So I was like, oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
So I live right next to TriStar. I literally live around the corner. So I looked over at Taylor. I was like, take me to the hospital. So we go to the hospital. I go into the ER. They thought they were prepping me for a heart attack. They didn't know what was happening. They didn't know if I picked something up over there.
Yeah.
And it was just simple dehydration. I guess my, stuff was shutting down because it was dehydrated. So my heart was working double time.
Just from being over there for
and
several days.
and
how long would y'all go when you go?
10 days.
Okay.
And man, that was scary. And I realized that then that my body just wasn't having enough electrolytes. So of course I was drinking a ton of water, but I also needed at least 1 Gatorade just to get that water to process in my system. So it was just going straight through me.
Huh.
And so yeah, I've learned how to hydrate properly now.
Yeah. Get your IV.
But I got 2 bags of fluids, some good drugs, and felt better after that. And anybody who's experienced dehydration like that, you know how scary it is. Like I didn't know what was happening. I thought I was dying. I thought maybe it was appendicitis or
that virus or
whatever. Yeah, the norovirus.
Yeah.
Could have been that. Hit me a couple days late, and I'll never forget. I'm sitting there like holding myself up on the counter at the ER.
Yeah.
And she's asking me, my social, my full name, all that stuff.
Lady, I'm about to fall over.
Yeah, and she goes, have you been outside of the country in the last 3 weeks? I was like, oh shit, here it goes. Iraq and Kuwait. She just stopped typing and looked at me like, all right, sir, you need to sit down over here. We're going to hook you up to this. I was like, and everybody else is like, that was in the ER line. It's like, why does he go first? I was like, oh God, what's wrong with me now? Why are they rushing me,
Probably wanted to see if you were contagious.
Yeah, if I was contagious or I picked something up over there.
Right.
But it was very scary. And but I'm a lot better. And it happened to me again, but I've been chugging water every single day, and then I realized it was electrolytes.
Yeah.
So I now drink a body
those nutrients.
Yeah, I've now started drinking, a Body Armor a day, or a coconut water is another good one.
Yeah.
So I've been just going to town on that stuff.
It's good.
And I feel like $1 million now. Now that I've figured that out, I'm like, all right, I'm getting a little older now. I can't,
You work out or anything?
Other than kayaking, no. Because I'm out on the lake.
A bow pool.
2 or 3. Oh yeah, I'm out on the lake. Maybe 4 hours a day, maybe 2 days a week, 3 days a week.
Yeah, that's a good.
So it's a
sure.
great workout, especially because my favorite is just trolling and like just moving and like.
Yeah.
And that's a great way to catch dinner on top of that. So like you work out and get dinner in once. Yeah.
There you go.
So definitely learned that about myself in the last couple months.
Yeah. What's coming up with Keith or anybody else? You got some
tours
or anything?
I don't have a whole lot going on. I have this Sunday I go to Chicago with Keith, and then after that we have a bunch of New York dates coming up. Not as much as I would like actually. So if anybody's listening, I
need a guitar player.
Give me a call.
What about long term? Where do you see Tyler Powers in 10 years?
I'm actually I'm for a while I kind of quit doing sessions. I guess I was busy during the day, so I wouldn't do that. And now I'm starting to do more sessions now.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, this is an easy way to make easy money. And we had talked earlier before we started doing the recording about I need to get a home studio set up. And anybody that doesn't have a home studio set up really should, because I've come to realize that that's the best way to become, not only to get more work, you can get more work having a home studio, but recording yourself and listening back to it is the best thing you can do.
Figuring out what sounds, because it's crazy the difference in live sound versus recording guitar-wise.
And what you think you sound like.
Yeah, absolutely.
You could think you sound great, or you knocked that out of the park, live, and then if somebody's sitting there videotaping, and you listen back and like, oh shit, I rushed that.
Yeah.
Oh shit, yeah, I could have left that hanging
That goes
longer.
for, to me, any kind of performance. I feel any kind of performance, you should at least audio record, if not video and audio.
Yeah,
and somewhat regularly do that to assess what you're doing. Maybe you want to keep doing something a certain way. Maybe you want to never do it that way again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I've actually started going back and working with a metronome more often. Just sitting there, even if it's just 5 minutes a day, and I'll sit there with the metronome, and I'll sit there and just not even play a note, but on the D string go just pluck one string, bop, 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 and try to make that click disappear. And phones now are so fancy nowadays. You download a metronome app, and I'll drop beat one. So I'll and then
to make sure,
and see if I rush, or like I'll do a lick coming out of beat 4.
Oh yeah,
that's great. Because when you do a lick, you tend to rush. You get excited.
Yeah, I've been real bad about that.
Oh, you need both. Yeah. I'm still bad about that.
I get to feeling all Angus Young.
From AC/DC, yeah, exactly. You want to be Angus, but Malcolm. Malcolm was so dead nuts on, man. And at the end of the day, you get a lot more work just strumming a couple chords rather than doing a screaming lead.
Yeah,
and you get paid the same.
Yeah.
So I've definitely been focusing on that a little bit more, and I've noticed a big difference in my playing. Like I've noticed myself slowing down more and thinking about it, and like make sure that when I finish a phrase, I'm landing dead on beat 1 or wherever I want to end. To yeah. And man, that's made a big difference. And I've realized in the last few months, I started getting more phone calls when I've been just doing like never playing a note on guitar, but like just focusing on the metronome.
Taste and feel and groove are so much more important than how many notes you can play.
And anything.
How fast.
I've realized that's the key. Like we all know the notes on our guitar. We're in Nashville. Everybody can. Yeah. There's guys that'll play circles around us, and then there's some guy that doesn't know his ass from his elbow. Yeah. Plays guitar, but will get a rockin' gig, and that's not directed towards anybody, but. Of course, there's right place and right time. There's 1,000 different, things that calculate
all these things.
But
to get the call back,
yes,
to get to come back again,
they might have that one thing that artist is looking for, and they have a gig for life now.
Yeah, be cool.
Yeah,
and be dependable,
and know your parts.
Yeah, know your parts. Yeah,
that's huge, and that's kind of the thing that we've kind of been slacking on with Keith. Not slacking on, but like we're a power trio backing up Keith now.
Right.
We don't have a piano player or a second guitar player. It's we're a power trio, so we kind of treat it like that. So we kind of have a little bit of fun with songs like "I Still Miss You" or "Every Time I Hear Your Name." These power ballads.
Sounds like he needs a harmonica player / utility player.
Yes. Oh, I would love that. Somebody that can also play guitar.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things is playing with other guitar players, because drummers don't often get to play with another drummer, if ever, in their career.
Yeah.
Bass players will almost never play with another bass player.
Yeah.
Guitar players, we have the luxury of like having 1 or 2 guitar players in the band at least.
Because you don't have to do as much, like when you play in power trio, like you're talking about. I've done that a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you got to play the riff parts, like the melodies, but also like fill it up.
Yes.
To where it's not so down. And when you get to play with another guitar player, then you get to start working with them. Like I'm going to do this part where you're on this register and like all the different.
You realize how great a whole note sounds. Just brung, and then somebody else does a little thing. And doing the power trio thing with Keith now is I have to stay a lot busier.
Right.
But man, when I get to sit back and hit whole notes and just let somebody else take over the lick, and like, man, it just fattens things up. And in LA, when I played with
And you
the
have to
band,
like tell yourself, okay, just strum
yes,
and let it ring.
yes,
Then strum on the next downbeat. And
yes,
let it
and
go.
that's when practicing with a metronome just shines.
Oh yeah, I bet.
And when you lock in really, really well, and like you know where the metronome's at, and now you know where the drummer's feeling at, because now you can understand the drummer better after you've been working with the metronome a little bit.
Yeah.
You understand what they're doing, and all of a sudden
do
it just
that.
clicks so much better. And it's really opened up my eyes, because I quit practicing with the metronome for years.
Yeah.
But I was gigging so much. I was, playing 10 shifts a week downtown. And I was like, I don't want to touch my guitar when I go home. But even if I just have one sitting on the couch and I'm sitting there watching TV, and I'll have the metronome going, and it won't be very loud.
You still don't have to think about it. Just
But I'll sit there and watch TV and just click, click, click.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you don't know where that metronome's at, and you realize that you're burying it, and you're not even thinking about it. And that's the point that's where you need to get.
I should do that.
And I'll literally, like, if Taylor's not home, I'll like put the metronome in my pocket, and I'll like have a guitar on, just doing clicks on the D string, quarter notes or eighth notes, and go up to 16th notes. But I'll like get food while I'm doing it, and like that way I'm thinking about other stuff while I'm doing it. And then sometimes
that's also important to be able for it to be a second nature.
Yeah, so you don't have to necessarily really dive in, like, be super focused on it, but it's to make it become second nature.
Yeah, because on stage you're going to be thinking about, don't trip over that chord.
Yeah.
Oh, that girl's hot.
Yeah, exactly.
Keith's saying something. I got to laugh. Oh,
Yeah. I got to do this move now.
Yeah. My mom told me one time, she said, I wish I could see a brain, like, energy readout of your brain when you're on stage playing.
Yeah.
Because you're not just thinking of the chords and the words. Those are usually, like, far back in your mind.
Oh,
like
yeah.
You're singing and you're playing with feeling, but you're also thinking about the people in the audience. Especially in my shoes, I'm thinking about, what did I just say? What should I say next after this song?
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to go into the next song? What is the next song? You're thinking about all these things while you're performing and singing. And playing,
And like, I don't even think about what my left hand is doing anymore.
For sure.
Nowadays I'm focusing more on my right hand and like what Chuck's left hand is doing.
Underappreciated right hand of a guitar.
If you watch me on stage sometimes, I don't even look at my left hand anymore.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here just watching my right hand, thinking about, what that metronome arm.
Yeah.
And how my arm is doing the same thing as that metronome arm. Or I'll make sure that my right arm is doing the same thing as the drummer's left arm, cracking that snare.
Yeah.
Because I like to think of guitar as still as a part of the rhythm section, where in Nashville or most situations, the guitar player is the lead guitar player. He's not part of the rhythm section.
Yeah.
But where I came from, playing in jazz bands or learning, like, the fact that I learned how to play guitar from a saxophone player, I consider
a little different.
I consider myself part of the rhythm section.
Well, it's especially in a power trio like we're talking about doing that. You've got to be rhythm oriented, because you got to blend with that and still give it the full sound.
Oh yeah.
So, and I play a lot of acoustic stuff solo. So I'm playing, when you're doing that, a lot of times I'm doing a rhythm.
You got to think about the drum. Like, I think about my right hand being the drummer. If I'm playing acoustic, yep, that's exactly how I try to think. And it's tough to get in and out of that sometimes, playing lead guitar and then going to that. Like, prime example is that last year I did an acoustic tour with Michelle Wright, and it took a month or two, and like we went all over Eastern Canada, and every show was the shows were all 3 days apart from each other. And I only played for 20 minutes a night, and maybe played 4 songs. So it was kind of nice taking a step back from playing guitar like all the time, and
it's good.
I brought my fishing rods, and I would like go up to like a lake in like northern Canada and just fish by myself, and it was amazing. But when I flew back home, Jay Cott picked me up from the airport, and we went straight to a gig. And it was a Keith gig. I haven't played with Keith in a month and a half, 2 months. I didn't even touch an electric in 2 months, which I've never done before. And I only played acoustic on the gig for 20 minutes a day. So my chops were gone. My calluses were, they were still there, but they weren't as strong as they were.
Yeah, they definitely get more sensitive, if you go. Yeah.
And our first show back, we were playing with the Kentucky Headhunters.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, shit. I am not up to par right now.
Yeah.
And we had just done a show with them like several months prior, and they were the coolest dudes. Like,
Oh, yeah.
brought us up on stage with them. We jammed with them on stage.
That's nice, yeah.
And they were they were like, dude, your guitar tone sounds so great. The whole band, like the way you locked in with the drummer and the bass player.
Yeah.
And you guys played off each other was so
Those
amazing.
guys are still putting on a hell of a show.
Dude, oh my
So
God.
good. They're like, what, 70?
Dude,
And they're still just...
jaw-dropping how good they are.
Yeah.
And it makes you realize, all right, this is what a band should sound like.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm going in there like a dumbass. Like,
I haven't played electric in
I
2
have not
months.
played I have not bent a guitar string in 2 months.
Yeah.
And I remember that foreign feeling of putting my 335 in my arms.
Yeah.
And then an amp and like trying not to make it feedback and like,
Oh, yeah, because it's so different from...
and
acoustic.
I was like, wow, this is, I sound like shit right now.
I'm bad about that. When I get used to playing acoustic and then you go to electric, like you have to tell yourself, don't play this like it's an acoustic.
Oh, yeah,
Because
yeah.
I'll start to like do
You'll become too, you'll get too busy.
Right, yeah. And then also,
Very easy to do.
Also, there's a difference between playing acoustic by yourself and playing acoustic with a band.
Oh, yeah.
Like if we're playing acoustic, while there's electric guitar and bass and drums, you just need to do like strum, 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 or just like
Yeah.
a strum.
Just downbeats.
Yeah.
Or
Let
twos
it
and
ring.
fours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll get up there like I'm playing solo and being
Yeah.
too busy or whatever. So it's it is what it is. I don't know.
Man, every player is different at the end of the day. Like you and I have done sessions together. We've done shows together. We've toured together for years, and we haven't played together. I don't know. It's been years now since we've even shared
Yeah.
a stage together. And I hope that changes again soon.
Yeah,
because I'd
we
love
should
to jam with you again. But
Well, we're about to jam here in a minute. That's what we're about to do. Yeah.
oh, really?
Yeah. We're going to record some guitar picking. Do your hands still work today?
I don't know.
Have it been some
Now you're
strings?
putting me on the spot.
Yeah. Dude, we've almost talked for 2 hours.
Wow. Well,
This might be a new long one, but I've enjoyed
Wow.
the shit out of it.
Well, when you get together with an old buddy, man, it just
Right?
flies by. We talk about guns and guitars and touring. And
Yeah, I told Tyler, he asked me the other day, he's like, what should we talk about? I've never done one of these before. And I said, man, it's just going to be like we were sitting down bullshitting and talking to each other, except for we're recording it. So that's what this was.
He even goes, you don't even have to, watch what you say. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm really bad at that.
Yeah.
And I've been good so far, so I can't,
Yeah.
It
is what I don't even notice. I don't like when you get around musicians and around people and I don't know, just adults in general. And if you say shit or ass, you don't think about it. Like they're just
Yeah.
words, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But then like I'll go back home to Alabama or something and be in front of my granny and have to like remind myself around different people now, that think differently about language and
Yeah, I consider myself a musician and a sailor, so
Yeah.
I have to really think about it sometimes. Even like Taylor will go, like we'll be sitting, with their family, and they're super chill and relaxed. They're great, great, great folks. But I'll have to watch what I say sometimes. Just, I'm not around a bunch of musicians. I should like really watch what I'm saying in front of my girlfriend's family.
Yeah. Like my parents, it's not that big of a deal, but I have a niece that's 7 and a nephew that's 5. Mm-hmm. So they're in super absorbing mode right now.
Oh,
so I have
yeah.
to make sure and very much edit my language when I get around them.
That's like when I'm around Keith's kids. I have to like, I can't do that. Even though I'm around a touring environment, I'm with his kids.
Yeah, I've heard of a lot of musicians that tour a lot that have families, like a guitar player that goes on the road for a month and then comes back and has a wife and kids. Like I've heard of people that's a big adjustment to being on tour and like partying and saying shit and whatever, and making dirty jokes and whatever, just being around a bunch of guys. And then you got to go back to a wife and 2 kids, and it's a mind fuck. It's like,
Absolutely. I don't have that too bad.
Yeah.
But I do have to you have a state of mind that you're in, I guess, and like
I've heard of some people that had to, when they did that, I don't remember who it was, but had to check into a hotel for like a day or 2 when they get back to kind of like come down and readjust into. Not often, but I heard somebody saying they had to do that. But
yeah, it's definitely a change of pace, and it's and I've talked to a lot of soldiers, and especially when I was in Iraq, like they're over there for 10 months at a time or 9 months, and then they come home to a family, and like even if the guys that don't necessarily see action, but you're out there with your group.
You never
and
know.
Yeah, but you're always on alert, or you're like, you have a state of mind. You're in that state of mind for 10 months or a year, whatever it is, and then you come back to your life here.
Hear people complaining about their phone chargers and
yeah, and even I've only spent 10 days at a time over there, but especially when I come home from those, I didn't see shit while I was over there, and I'm jumpy when I get home. I remember the first
complaining
time,
about stuff. You're like, dude.
Yeah, I remember taking the first time I came home from over there. I'm in my Uber ride, and I'm talking with the Uber driver, and we're on Briley Parkway, swinging around.
Yeah.
Coming over to East Nashville, and we're talking about it. And I'm not even kind of paying attention. I'm looking out the window, chatting, and he made a quick movement to like he dropped something, and it made me jump out of my seat. Oh
wow, yeah.
And just because I was in that frame of mind for edge, I had nothing to be on edge about.
Guys that see action.
Oh, I know.
I can't. Yeah. My brother-in-law was in Afghanistan. He was in the Marines, and I've never really asked him. He's a pretty quiet guy. I've never really talked to him about what he did or didn't do, but I have a feeling he did some stuff.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine going over there and then having to come back to your regular life after doing those things.
Yeah.
And then because he doesn't, when we go out, if the family goes out to eat or something, he doesn't like to be in big crowds.
Oh yeah.
Where there's people, because he's still, even years later, he's still in that mindset of when he's in a restaurant, he has to see the people, see the exits, I guess you just don't ever.
It doesn't leave you. Once a soldier, always a soldier.
Yeah.
And I'm disappointed that I didn't do my time in the military, because God, I have so much respect for those guys, and I wish that I did my part for the country. But
going in.
Yeah, I got to go over there and I got to play for the troops. I met so many great guys and girls, and they're tougher than nails, man. Especially when they're over there, they have that face on. They have the game face on all the time. Then they come out to a show. If any of them
are listening right now, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's jaw dropping, and I can't thank them enough.
Yeah,
and their hospitality when we were over there.
Yeah, they're probably excited. Excited as shit to see y'all and somewhat relax for just a little while.
Oh yeah, for that hour and a half that we're on stage, they just kind of get to cut loose. And we had an Iraqi general sitting front row, and I remember he was 20 feet, 30 feet in front of me, and he sits there and smiles and watches us play. I don't know if I know that they don't get concerts over there. An Iraqi that I don't think they've ever really seen a concert, and so even a general, and I remember watching it. I remember standing up there, and it was a crowd of maybe 500 or so.
Yeah,
and the general had a translator with him, an American guy, and the general was sitting there, kind of straight faced, and every once in a while, maybe crack a smile every once in a while, or he'd watch. And I remember one night, at one point in the concert, I watched him point at me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, shit. What did I do? And then afterwards, after the whole thing, me and Chuck Fields, our drummer, were walking somewhere. We're walking on the bass, and we saw the translator, and we chatted with him for a second. He goes, oh, the general looked at you, and he goes, man, that guy's pretty good at guitar. And I was like, yes.
That's great.
Yes.
You are now world renowned.
I'm like,
Tyler Powers.
Yeah, if I can reach one person, that was an Iraqi general.
There you go. Well, dude, I'm about to piss on my pants.
You and me both, actually. This coffee's going through me.
Yeah. Well, this was great. Thanks for talking, man.
No, thank you. I'm flattered to be part of this, man.
Happy to have you.
Oh.
Let's play some guitars.
Let's do it. Yeah.
All right. While Tyler and I trade guitar licks here in the background, thank you very much for listening. As always, go check out don'tstifleme.com/058 for show notes on today's episode. I will post up some videos and sound clips of Tyler playing with different folks, with Keith, and then I'm going to find something of Jen Friends for sure, if I can find anything, and throw that up there. And I'll put a couple of the songs that he's played with me. Anyway, if you enjoyed this talk, please subscribe to the podcast on whatever device it is that you listen on regularly. But I'd also love if you would share with anyone you think might be interested in hearing these stories. about how people get to where they are and the things you go through along the way. You know, the good, the bad, the ugly of this life that we're all trying to live to the best of our ability. When you get a chance, please go check out patreon.com/DSM podcast. Over there, for as little as $1, $3 a month, you can get behind the scenes pictures, videos, MP3 downloads. There's all kinds of other things there. I think you can come in and hang out while we record an episode. Get your name put up on the website. Whatever. There's a bunch of stuff. Go check it out. Every little bit helps to keep this thing going forward. So even if it's like $2 a month, $5 a month, anything, helps keep the lights on and the mics recording. The podcast social medias are all at DSM Podcast. Mine are all at Jacob Stiefel. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, beautiful rest of your week, a wonderful month, a great year, and anything else beyond that. I'll talk to you again very soon. And in the meantime, here's me and Tyler playing some guitar for you. The world-renowned Tyler Powers.
That's me.